I'm Joan Breitbart, and I'm here today with Sarah Parker Young, who is the daughter of my friend Joan Parker, and we've known each other for many years, but today we're going to discuss something very specific, Sarah's decision to start with Ozempic and 80Bites.
Well, I'm familiar with 80Bites. Actually, 3 years ago, because I knew Joan and I knew about her products, I decided that I would try 80Bites during the summer when we were both in Fire Island. So I didn't even know if I would like counting bites. I wasn't sure about the whole concept, but I did it and I found it actually relaxing and kind of a rhythmic way to approach your meals in the beginning. And I lost 12 pounds really easily. And at a certain point, I didn't even have to count anymore. It's as if it had regulated how I'm, and that, with that, I would know how many bites I had had. So I found out after a certain point, it really did train me as to what I was eating. And so I lost that 12 pounds. I was really happy with that. And then afterwards, some things happened. I had some health issues. I had other things where I just didn't pay attention to it anymore. And the weight was creeping back on. My friends at the time, they were all into various diets, like everyone I know is. So, I tried Weight Watchers because one of my friends convinced me of that. And, that whole program of, not counting, but really tracking your calories and what healthy foods were 0 calories. Anyway, it was a whole process of thinking about food nonstop. So that was not something I enjoyed. And anyway, so I gave that up. And then a lot of my friends at that point were, saying that keto was the whole new way of eating. And all you had to do was, cut out carbs and eat, lots of steak and cheese and whatever you wanted to in that way. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the keto diet contains right now, but I do know it was a lot of protein. And, I did that for a while and I was really not getting anywhere. And so I was really frustrated with my weight and decided everyone was talking about Ozempic. And so I went on Ozempic with my doctor's go-ahead. And I said to myself, I am just doing this for 3 months to get off that stubborn weight. But I'm going to do it at the same time with 80Bites because, on an intellectual level, I understood that Ozempic was just going to do it because the drug working. But for me to maintain it, I had to have the ability to understand the quantity I was eating in a way that would just eventually become intuitive, like it did when I did it 80Bites the first time. So I am doing Ozempic, and at the same time, I'm training myself for after the 3 months, I am going to be ready to take this over on my own and then have it just be a lifestyle, not a constant, thinking and worrying about dieting and types of foods and, all of those things that my friends worry about 24/7.
Sarah, listen, for me, of course, I've heard this kind of story, but I never can understand how you people are so suckered by all these diets. It's just hysterical that everybody would rush to keto and some magic was supposed to happen when you're getting rid of, an entire food group, right? But
yeah.
It's just what happens, and that's what I guess Oprah called diet culture, right? Where, you're in this and you never think about stepping apart from it, right?
No, exactly. I mean, for example, a lot of my friends tried a vegan diet, and there may be reasons that people are vegan, but I think for a lot of people it's fat, and, suddenly you're going to eat this, and also the way my friends are, I'm going to have this ginormous salad bowl with all these different things in it, but it's perfectly fine because it's salad. And nobody ever about, let's just have a plate with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like, what makes it enjoyable? Like, I lived in France for a while, And in France, where, a lot of people are more slender than Americans, that, they shop for their food every day. They go and they get their meat. They get a little bit of cheese. They'll have some salad. They'll have a small dessert. And they just have it, in an amount that one can enjoy your food. Like, why should you have to have a huge plate of spinach and, 3 pieces of bacon and consider that living and enjoying your food? I mean, that's really what bothers me.
Well, to me, it's so unsophisticated, and you have traveled everywhere, and you are sophisticated. So you've really sort of put yourself in this kind of, I don't know, tacky box of, I only eat this, but I don't eat that, and if it's raining in Bermuda on a Thursday, well, then I won't eat anything, or, these false formulas, right? But I want to ask you a question about this, because I believe that one of the reasons, and I don't know if we talked about this, but if you go on Novo Nordisk, which makes Ozempic, or Eli Lilly, which is Mounjaro and Wegovy, and that's just the beginning. I mean, they have 9 more drugs coming out, that they give you what I call the wellness formula, which is eat healthy and exercise more. Why do you think, which is really what got people to gain weight, why do you think they're doing it?
It's a smoke screen to get people back in the mindset that they have to think about food 24/7 and what sort of foods are healthy and what aren't healthy. And, then maybe they'll be on Ozempic for the rest of their lives. And then, obviously they make more money. I mean, to be crude about it. But, I think that's why. And obviously I've been losing weight on Ozempic just the way I lost it on 80Bites. But with the added caveat that I'm also going on 80Bites so I can just move on with my life without all this sort of crazy thinking about diets and types of foods. So I think they do it just to keep people hooked.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. We have to keep this in mind. You're 5'11". The average American woman is 5'4". You have maybe 35 pounds to lose. So, I mean, it's sad, but we now have people who have easily 50, 60, 70. So that's why maybe this is going to work. And I think that this is important because it's cynical to say that these companies really know that these diets failed people, messed up their hormones, and then they became ravenously hungry. And they're still telling them to do the diets, right? Instead of saying, just focus on eating less and less often. They could do that. And what you're saying is they know that then they'll go off the drug, right?
Well, that's what I feel because it's a pretty simple proposition to eat less and understand when you should stop. I mean, it's very simple. So, it's a concept I can understand. And, this is a little side point, which we haven't talked about. But, for me, I'm a writer. I love literature. I love the arts. I don't want to spend my life thinking about categories of healthy food that I must eat every day and that I must discard other foods. So something that's simple that works, I mean, it's worked for me when I did 80Bites before, and it's working now with Ozempic, added to the fact I'm using 80Bites too. It works, so why am I going to complicate my life?
Well, I think this is really what people are dragged into. I don't know if they think of it as complicated. I think they feel guilt. I mean, remember, this is about gluttony and sloth, and obviously 2 of the 7 deadly sins. So there's a guilt feeling, and so then they probably rationalize, I have to do all this stuff. I have to exercise like crazy. I have to give up all these foods. That it's a punishment, really. That's all I can think of because remember, for me and your mother, of course, we never even knew what a calorie was. I mean, I'm 83, your mother's older. We didn't even know. So how did we figure out how much to eat? We had normal sizes and we felt it. And some of the sizes were probably too big, but then we'd leave it, right? And all we knew was desserts were fattening. That was the biggest diet, theory. Desserts are fattening. That was it, big whole category. But it wasn't much more than that.
Yeah.
So I think we've gotten to a bad place, and this is going to fix it. We're good.
Yeah, and like when I talk to some of my friends that are on Ozempic, of course everybody's on Ozempic right now. A few of them have said, "Oh, we're just going to do this forever because this works, and we want to be thin." And I don't think that's the way to look at it. I think the way to look at it is if the weight is really stubborn, do it for 3 months. Pair it with doing 80 bites, which is going to teach you, and well, not so much teach you. It's pretty simple. What it's going to do is that when you go off Ozempic, you're going to have an idea of how much you should eat. I mean, again, it's so simple.
Right. What about now? Remember all the hormones, and I know you just started with Paracetamol. You had never tried it before. How do you think that's helping this kind of tension and anxiety that people who are in diets always feel?
I mean, I think it's a big thing. And for me, I do get anxious. I'm very busy at work and, I have a lot of responsibilities. And I feel when I use Paracetamol and I use the breathing exercises, that takes that away. And, it just gives me a calm outlook, which is going to help with whatever I'm doing. And I really enjoy it. It's part of my daily routine.
That's one of the things that becomes easy to add to a daily routine, Paracetamol, because it's really relaxing, right? And, and most people today have body parts that are not feeling great, right? That's just the way it is. I don't know why we got into this mess, but we do. People have back pain all the time now. So.
Oh yeah, especially people that work at a desk. That compounds it.
No, but I also feel that it's just an accumulated tension, anxiety, and I mean, if you really look today at what they're telling people in the wellness world about red light method and cold plunges and infrared saunas and make sure you get 8 hours of sleep every night. I mean, think about all the people who unfortunately have insomnia, and there's no real cure for that. Now they have to feel even worse, right? It's bad enough they're suffering with it. Now they feel worse, it's going to make them fat, right? Or it's going to make it harder to lose weight. I mean, it's so mean.
Yeah.
I feel that people are now at a point, because of these miracle drugs, and hopefully with some of Physical Mind products, that they can turn their back on all of this guilt-producing directives, of what you need to do every single second, right, of your life, and then add in journaling and meditating and affirmations, and now it's supposedly twice a day you should do 45 minutes of exercise, and, please, it's like a full-time job, right?
Yeah, it's like a full program when really, like Paracetamol, if you do it first thing in the morning or right before you go to bed, just sort of resets everything, and it's so simple to use. The breathing exercises are so easy to comprehend. So if you use that, and then with the Ozempic and the 80 Bites, just simplify your relationship with food and how you think about food. You have time for so many more enjoyable things. That your life isn't cluttered up with all this thinking about how can I be healthier.
Yeah. And the healthier, it's such a false word. We know this. People will say cancer is silent, and it is. So somebody may be doing the entire list of suggested activities, and they could be walking around with cancer, right? We know that that's a fake word. Doesn't guarantee anything. And what they really are saying, it goes all the way back to when we were obviously just talking about being thin.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for the main part of just the stopping, shutting my mouth and stopping thinking about food all the time and eating, if you're wanting to use the word healthy, if you want to use it, it's better on my joints. I have a slightly, messed up knee from tennis. It's not bad, but that's helping that. And, being on Ozempic and 80 Bites, it's just a very simple way for me to feel better, my body to feel better. And the Paracetamol as well, if you suffer from anxiety, which I'm sure makes you hold on to weight and all that, I'm not a doctor, but, eases you and sets you up for the day or sets you up for a night of sleep.
Well, anyway, so I'm glad we did it because, the summer's almost over. We won't see each other. You'll be in Florida and I'll be in New York. But it's what? You've been a month doing it now, right? Is that how long it is?
I think today will be my 5th week.
5th week, okay. And you've lost almost 12 pounds, I think.
Almost 12 pounds.
Yeah. So, since your goal is only 35, and you're going to do 3 months, that you're right on target, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah. I mean, Ozempic, I'm sure for people, the idea of giving myself an injection, I just get nervous thinking about it. But, you get used to it, I suppose. But you can't get used to injecting yourself for the rest of your life, I don't think. And plus the money.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
It's
a month of a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. But it's not if you think you're going to really change your health. Then it's not, and...
No, if it's a 3-month commitment that's going to get you where you need to be and train you, especially with 80 Bites, and train you, for the rest of your life, it's well worth the money.
Sure.
But yeah, being on it for your entire life just doesn't make sense.
Especially because most people have other issues where they need to take some medication, and how many medications do you want to be on, and certainly as few as possible, right? So
exactly.
Anyway, I haven't seen you and you look good, and maybe you'll play tennis with me. I want to say that Sarah is a great tennis player, and she will indulge her mother and me with a game occasionally. But as she gets lighter, I think it will be harder for us to even remotely keep up.
We'll come down to Palm Beach and we'll check out that theory.
Okay. I'm going to be there soon. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.